On a cold night, the wealthy man's widow sat alone in her big mansion holding a pregnancy test in her shaking hands. It showed positive. She whispered, "How will I tell my daughters that I'm carrying a baby for the cleaner?" Long ago, in a small Nigerian town, there lived a wealthy man named Chief Okore. He was respected, powerful, and blessed with riches. But there was one thing he did not have: a son. He had 5 daughters, each beautiful in their own way. But in his old tradition, a man without a son was not seen as a complete man. These words followed him everywhere. People whispered about him. Even his close friends mocked him. Little by little, it broke him inside. He stopped going out. He stopped talking to people. He stopped smiling. Pain filled his heart. Shame swallowed his joy. He fell into depression, and in time, Chief Okore died. His wife, Madam Nkem, was heartbroken. The daughters were still young, and with their father gone, they grew up wild. Adaora, the eldest, loved parties. Chiamaka liked showing off. Oluchi always stayed out late. Amarachi fought with everyone. Ezine, the youngest, copied her sisters. They went out every night. They ignored their mother's voice. They laughed when she corrected them. They showed her no respect. Madam Nkem tried many times to sit with them, to talk, to guide them, but they never listened. They brushed her aside like she didn't matter. She cooked alone, ate alone, slept alone, lived alone, inside her own home. She watched her daughters slip away like sand through her fingers. Her heart broke every single day. In that same town lived a young man named Ajuri, about 26 years old. He was not rich, not powerful, but he had a kind heart. He admired Madame Nkem secretly, not because she was wealthy, but because she carried herself with dignity even in sadness. He watched how she walked alone, how she watered her flowers by herself, how she smiled as if she was hiding pain. Ajuri wanted to comfort her. He wanted to be close to her. But how could a young man like him approach a wealthy widow? So he came up with a plan. One sunny morning, Ajuri wore simple clothes and walked to the mansion gate. He knocked softly. When the gatekeeper came out, Ajuri said, "I came to apply for the cleaner job." Madam Nkem needed help, so she agreed. From that day, Ajiri swept floors, cleaned windows, arranged furniture, and trimmed the garden. He worked quietly and respectfully, always watching her from the corner of his eye. All he wished for was to see her smile again. One day, Adora, the eldest daughter, began to notice Ajiri. She liked his gentle manner. She liked how he didn't chase after her like the other boys. One afternoon, she cornered him near the backyard. "I like you," she said boldly. Ajiri stepped back, shocked. "I'm sorry," he said softly. "I can't." Those two simple words cut Adaora like a knife. She walked away angry, embarrassed. And from that day, she hated him. Weeks passed. Madame Nkem became even more lonely. Her daughters were never home. The mansion felt empty, like a big hollow drum. One night she came downstairs to drink water. Her eyes were red from crying. Ajiri saw her and asked softly, "Madam, are you okay?" She tried to speak, but tears rolled down her cheeks. Ajiri reached out and held her gently. She allowed herself to cry in his arms. Minutes passed, then hours. They talked about life, about pain, about loneliness. They shared drinks, they shared secrets, and in a moment of weakness, they slept together. By morning, regret filled Madame Nkem's heart. "I'm old enough to be your mother," she whispered. You're like my daughter's age. Ajuri lowered his head. I'm sorry, madam, but I care about you. She said nothing. For weeks she avoided him. She acted like nothing happened. Ajiri kept his distance and respected her space. But life had its own plan. Weeks later, her body began to change. She felt weak and tired. Something was different. She bought a pregnancy test, and it was positive. Her hands shook, her heart almost stopped. She called Ajiri secretly. I'm pregnant, she said with a weak voice. Ajiri froze. Madam, what do we do? I want to get rid of it, she said in fear. But Ajiri held her hand gently and replied, Let's keep it. Madam Nkem stared at him in shock. I am your mother's age. If my children find out, I am finished. I'm here for you, Ajiri said softly. Age is just a number. She sighed. If we must keep the baby, then no one must know yet. Not until we figure out how to tell my children. Ajiri agreed. As the months passed, her stomach grew. Her daughters noticed. Mama, why are you adding weight? Mama, are you hiding something? Mama, talk to us. They shouted. They accused her. They gossiped behind her back. One day they cornered her in the living room. Mama, who got you pregnant? Adaura demanded. Madam Nkem closed her eyes. It is Ajiri, she said softly. Silence filled the room. Then, you did what? With the cleaner? Mama, how could you shame us like this? They cried, they shouted, they insulted Ajiri. They insulted their mother. Then they stopped talking to her completely. They kept her in silent punishment. Every day she cried alone in her room. Ajiri felt guilty but still supported her secretly, buying food, checking on her, making sure she wasn't alone. 9 months passed. One quiet afternoon, the labor pains started. Madam Nkem was rushed to the hospital. Ajiri stayed with her the whole time. He held her hand. He prayed. He cried. Hours later, a loud baby cry filled the room. The nurse lifted a newborn baby. A baby boy, strong, healthy, beautiful. Ajiri burst into tears. Madam Nkem smiled for the first time in years. The news spread. Days later, the daughters came to the hospital. They stood at the door, silent and unsure. The baby boy looked at them with bright eyes. Slowly, Adaura walked closer. Mama, we are sorry, she whispered. One by one, the others joined. They cried. They hugged their mother. They carried their baby brother. They apologized to Ajiri. Ajiri later moved into the mansion officially, not as a cleaner, but as part of the family. The daughters treated him with respect. The community stopped laughing. Some people even said, maybe this boy is the blessing the chief never got. Madam Nkem finally found peace. The mansion that once felt cold now echoed with the laughter of a baby boy. The shame was gone. The loneliness was gone. The pain was gone. A new chapter began. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe.